Welcome to another episode of Here's Why, brought to you by
Why Not Results.
I'm Jimmy Talbert.
Mario Lizarraga here.
Was that corny enough for you?
We can do better. We can work on it.
We can make it more corny.
Yeah.
All right. Really excited about what we're going to be going through today as part of our season on Lifecycle Marketing. Today's episode specifically is one of my favorite topics, which is converting clients.
Woohoo! Yep. All of our favorite.
We all like it. That's what we're in business for. So before we dive too deep into that, let's go ahead and watch an overview on all of Lifecycle Marketing, and then we'll drill into converting clients. So before we go through the different stages of Lifecycle Marketing, what I'd like to do is make sure that you're thinking about two separate things. I want you to remember that your prospects are people. So I don't care if you call your customers, clients, patients, students, whatever. I don't care if you sell B2B or B2C. At the end of the day, you sell person to person. And it's important to create a narrative, create a story, create a brand that people can relate to, people can associate with. The other thing that I want you to remember is that systems scale relationships and processes scale relationships. So having those systems, having those processes within your business is absolutely critical to your overall success. So let's quickly go through the different stages of lifecycle marketing. So it starts with getting traffic to your business. So this is to your blog, getting traffic to your website, also gaining traction on social media, getting people to engage and interact with you throughout these different platforms and across these different mediums where people may look. Okay, the next stage is converting leads. And so when we look at that, this is getting people to give you some information. In most cases, giving information is in exchange for something of value, and we'll dig in deep on that when we go through the lead, the converting leads video on this series as well. And then the next is the nurturing your prospects, which is your sales process. Whether we're talking about your initial sales process of trying to convert your leads into clients, or your long-term nurture or short-term nurture, things like that. The next stage is converting the clients. This is where the sale happens, making sure that that's a smooth and seamless process so that you don't run into those hiccups so low in the funnel when it ends up costing you a lot of money. Next stage is delivering and wowing, making sure that every client, every customer that you work with has a fantastic experience, wants to be an advocate of your business. If they ever have a conversation with someone about your product or your service, making sure that you're the one that they recommend. And then the next stage here is upsell and cross-sell, which is giving you the ability to actually increase that lifetime customer value of everybody that you work with. And then the last stage is getting referrals and reviews. And I don't even have to tell you how important that is in today's day and age. In the social and digital age, that is absolutely critical to the overall success of your business.
Woo! That was exciting stuff there, Jimmy Talbert.
Well, thank you. One of my favorite things to present on and talk about, realistically.
Well, and I love hearing it, and it's always a good refresher each time.
Absolutely. So today specifically, we're talking about my favorite part of lifecycle marketing as well, which is converting clients. And it's something that I really enjoy going through. I've most of my career, I've focused on client conversion and helping different businesses improve their conversion rates of different aspects of their funnel. So conversion in general is just something that I'm really passionate about and I really enjoy.
And I think the rest of us are equally passionate because that means money.
That's right, yeah.
Conversion.
Making sales.
Conversion means we've closed a deal.
If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense.
Typically, I guess we're sometimes converting to a call to action, but by and large, most of us think about a conversion as
But that's a step.
close.
That's a step in the process as well.
Right.
So, as we go through this today, I encourage you to take notes and take things to not you, but take something away from today that you can execute in your business immediately. So, yeah. So Mario, when you and I originally met, this was putting together and helping you with some of your client conversion was one of the first ways that we met.
That's how we met.
Yeah, working together on your other business, on your insurance business.
Correct. Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about any eye openers or things that kind of stood out to you as we went through that.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, just the lead magnet to start off, and the way that you and your other colleague at the time had kind of put that together and helped me explain what's going to draw somebody in, and then from there where it's going. And then what stood out the most, what we worked together on specifically, was your conversion copy and how to write an email, which I thought I was writing emails, decently. And then I saw how a true conversion copy expert writes them, and how all the call to actions were laid out. And there were a lot of eye-opening things that happened at that point in time, to be honest. But the whole process, I looked at it just as one step. I looked at it always just as the particular lead gen, and I really didn't focus on the entire process, the whole nurturing to converting. I didn't understand, and the follow-up, and I definitely, even if I understood it at a small level, I definitely wasn't implementing the full gamut.
Absolutely.
And so was really the thing that set out in my mind.
And I think one of the biggest mistakes that most businesses make is creating things without an intention, without knowing what to do with it, or creating things and pulling people almost pulling people back in their funnel. So you convert a lead, you give them a little bit of education, you warm them up, and then if the lead doesn't buy right away or doesn't do something right away, the businesses end up not almost sending stuff that pulls them up into the funnel again, as opposed to pulling them down through their sales funnel. And so it's a matter of being very intentional with what you do.
That's a good way to put it. That's what I was leaving out. I was leaving out the intention.
Yeah, having a progressive nature.
That direct call to action.
To your marketing. Yeah. And so an example of a client that I had that did this very, very well was a guy by the name of David Hirickson or something like. I've never been able to pronounce his last name, but he had a private counsel, and he was an attorney, and shortly after kind of going out on his own, he realized pretty quick that a big part of running a business is making sales. And knowing some of his weaknesses, he knew that he was not a natural salesperson, didn't really like selling. And so what he did was he put together a education stream through different videos and reports and things like that, and people would answer questions. And what he found was, by doing that and having that in his funnel initially, when people actually came in for appointments, expectations were set. They were fully educated. They had a pretty general idea of how much things were going to cost. And last time I talked to him, he said, at this point, I'm closing 100% of the appointment of people who make it to appointments. Now, that doesn't mean he's closing 100% of his leads, obviously, but he doesn't want to be the sales guy following up with leads and everything. So he has everything set to where it's a very rigorous process, education process, to get people through his funnel, so that when they do finally make it into an appointment, because his time is very valuable, they're fully educated and they're ready to rock. So it was something that was absolutely incredible, in my opinion, because it did some really cool things for his sales funnel. So
interesting.
Yeah, and so let's talk a little bit about some of those low in the funnel call to actions that help you convert the sale. So these can be things like requesting a consultation, or setting that appointment, or fill in the blank on your business and what that would look like for you. The mistake that a lot of people make is they put a sales conversion call to action too high in their funnel. And so they really miss out on a lot of those leads that they could be generating up here with a lower barrier of entry, and as opposed to getting a low barrier of entry here and then progressing things through, and then having a higher barrier of entry lower in the funnel once they've built that rapport, they've educated that client.
And to kind of put that in the layman's term that you used in a previous episode, it's kind of like asking to marry somebody right after you met them.
Yeah, walking up to a girl at the bar and asking her to marry you, as opposed to
long before you even ask for her phone number.
Yeah. Hi, what's your name?
Hey, can I go out on a date? Can I take you to lunch? Can I take you to dinner? Just going straight for the kill.
That's 100% right.
We fall in love too quickly is probably an easy way to put that.
Exactly. And so what I'd like to do is actually walk you through our and I've shown this on other episodes in this season, our content distribution machine, and show you where you would use different aspects of the type of content to help progress people to that point. So
love to see it.
Let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, so up here I've got our multi-channel content distribution, and as we've talked about before, when you we create an initial video or a season of videos, like this is one aspect of a season, and then from that we can get a series of other videos. Now these videos are great to utilize in your social media. They're fantastic to be able to get that awareness as well, but then they're great pieces to also educate your leads to get them from when you get their information to absorb information and everything. People say sometimes, well, I don't want someone to watch the same video twice. Well, first of all, who cares if they watch the same video twice? But then second of all, if they do, what's the worst? What's the worst that happens? They skip ahead, and no one is watching 100% of your content. That's called being a stalker. That's not truly something that you need to ever be concerned with. So, and when you're creating several pieces of content and doing it that way, it makes it really easy for you to be able to do that. So.
Interesting.
Anything else you'd like to add on the conversion process?
Well, I mean, it's just the point that it's it seems like the conversion process. A couple things that I've learned from you and other professionals is that it's not always the same. You do have to try several different methods to find out what ultimately works the best. And I believe you guys kind of call this ABC testing, right? Am I correct? And so just because we put something in place and people aren't converting doesn't necessarily mean that it's, that we have everything dialed in. Maybe we need to try a slightly different style of video. Maybe we need to try a different methodology, whether it's an email, maybe it's a phone call. There's different pieces in this process, and so even with the videos themselves, we have to make different styles. So I personally have like animated videos for certain components, and the same message is done in a video just like this, where it's a human being in front of it. Sometimes it's just voiceover and images.
Yeah.
Right? And so that conversion process, it's a science in itself.
Absolutely.
And this is why I've learned spending money with the professionals to put in these different ABC testings, those who understand the analytics, how to read these numbers, and recognize, hey, this path B worked better than path C,
right,
which worked better than path A, so we're going to focus our dollars and energy on path B. And that is so important to go through that testing phase. And I think a lot of us, your typical entrepreneur, we go out we throw one lure out there in the lake, and we try to catch that fish with that one lure. We don't change up the lure, and we just keep casting, and we keep casting, and we keep casting.
Or you cast it out there once or twice, it doesn't work, and so rather than trying another lure,
right,
you pack your stuff up and go home and say, there's no fish there.
That's right. It's just, the fish aren't biting today.
Yeah.
And which isn't the case. The fish are in the water.
Yep, that's right.
We just have to change the time of day that maybe we're throwing our lure in the water. Maybe the lure, maybe the bait, maybe we're at the wrong depth. And so all of these factors come into play with the marketing process. And again, me being just the business, looking at the overall picture, I don't have time to do all that dialing in. That's why it's so critical to align yourself with somebody who does that. Which happily we've run into those guys. We have them in our arsenal.
And anytime you're communicating, it's all about being targeted with what you're sending and when you're sending it. It's about being timely and relevant and personalized because what are we doing? We're building relationships, we're establishing trust so that we can convert them into being a client, right?
Absolutely.
Our next episode is going to be on the deliver and wow, so post-sale, impressing people and really creating advocates of your business. So make sure that you tune in and watch that as well. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and sign off and look forward to hopefully seeing you on the next episode.
See you soon.